Do you want us, Lord, to go and call down consuming fire? Kinda, yeah. That's what we feel like when we're angry, right? When somebody rejects us, when we have come to a place where we want to be welcomed and included, where we want to sit and have a beer or rest and talk with friends, and they say no, go away. We don't like you. We don't like your ideas. We don't like what you represent. We don't like where you worship. Remember, Samaritans and Jews had a little bit of a dispute over Jerusalem and what Jerusalem was about and the centrality of this place. And Jesus, who is going to the center of where the Jewish people worship, knowing that he is going to stir up conflict by doing so, puts off this village. And James and John have an entirely understandable reaction. Do you want us to burn it to the ground? There's been a lot of burning to the ground on Facebook this week and yesterday. And that's hard because a lot of us would kind of like to burn some things to the ground. The problem is, those who are on the other side, they'd like to do some burning to the ground too. The Department of Homeland Security called the National Episcopal Church, the Episcopal Church that is mostly in North America. We do extend outside of our national borders. Called the Episcopal Church and said there has been a credible threat against progressive Christian churches that are known for their positions in support of the full range of female care and pregnancy and the termination of pregnancies. And so the Episcopal Church called our bishop, and our bishop called all of us into a meeting on Friday and Saturday and said, just be careful. Say hello to people. And I thought, Turns out that the most effective way of dissuading somebody who is coming into your space to potentially do harm is to say hello. Honestly, we should be doing that anyways, right? I felt a little bit like, but we already should be welcoming people. But sometimes as Episcopalians, we're a little bit introverted and we're not like, hi, what's your name, Charlotte? It's so nice to meet you, right? We don't do that. We're like, we sort of, hi. But welcoming people is the way that we break down the hatred and the enmity and the anger. James and John were angry because they were not welcomed into a place that they wanted to be welcomed. We all want to be welcomed. I don't know if you caught that list from Galatians today. We get a little bit stuck on the first one, right? We hear fornication and we're like, oh my God, everything is just about sex, right? We get stuck on it because we're like, well, we're allowed to have sex. God made our bodies beautiful, and pleasure is a part of lives, and sex is a beautiful and good thing. And yes, we should do it responsibly, but we are allowed to have sex. Stop preaching against sex, Bible. I hate to break it to you, but there's a lot of sex in the Bible. And it is not all condemned. There's actually some sex in the Bible that I think should be condemned. There's some pretty awesomely nasty sex that happens in the Bible. Right? And people who are like, see? Fornication, sex, stop it. Everything is about what you do with your body and what you put where, and you really got to stop putting it all those places you shouldn't be putting it. Right? We get stuck. But there's a whole list of things. And did you notice? Enmity, anger, hatred. Those are the things that destroy communities. I'm not going to lie, bad sex does destroy people's lives. Okay? We should not hide from that because we are in reaction to the way that sex has been misused in our theology and Christian practices. But it is anger, it is enmity, it is hatred. It is that desire to call a consuming fire down upon our enemies and burn it all down. That is what destroys relationships. That is what destroys the reign of God. And that has been true all along. It's not like it's news with Jesus. It's not like Jesus introduced this idea that hatred and enmity destroys, and that when you speak the truth, when you stand up for those who are vulnerable, when you seek to create a world of justice and mercy where everybody has access to a life that allows them to flourish in whoever they are, whatever color or race or nationality or body they have, that life causes conflict. So much conflict that 1,000 years before Jesus gets on the scene, Elijah tells his follower Elisha, "Are you sure you really want my mantle? Are you sure you really want to be a prophet of God? Are you sure? You don't really know what you're asking for. You don't really know, because it's hard to follow Jesus. It is a hard path. It requires a willingness to give up on some of those things that we love dearly. You might not have the opportunity to bury your father. You might not have the opportunity to go and have that farewell party and say goodbye to your friends. When Jesus says these things, we read them in the same way that we heard Galatians when we got stuck on the word fornication. We get stuck on all the things that we're not supposed to do, and we think that what Jesus is saying is a hard judgment on those things. Maybe Jesus is just stating a fact. Foxes don't have a place to lay their heads. Birds' nests fall out of trees. And you know what happens? Foxes go find another hole. Birds build another nest. This life into which we are baptized and called is a long life, full of faith and hope and love and joy and the fruits of the Spirit. But that doesn't make it an easy life. Being faithful to who God has called us puts us in difficult positions. It puts the Episcopal Church in the position of saying, we do believe that life is sacred. And we also believe that the discernment of bringing that life into the world is up to the people most closely involved in that decision. It is actually, if you read closely our language, it is not an unambiguously one or the other. It is one that holds together the tension and the respect that we have for life, however it starts, wherever it starts, and the recognition that life is in our hands. We choose life and we choose death. And sometimes that is a hard and difficult decision. And it is a hard path to walk that carefully with kindness and compassion and clarity. But that is what we are called to. We are called to be a church that welcomes all people, but does not welcome all ideas. We love to talk about how welcome we are as Episcopal Church, and we forget that sometimes that welcome means not welcoming certain things and ways of being together. And that puts us at odds with our own Anglican communion in the world. I cannot go and serve the Eucharist in many places in the Anglican communion around the world, not only because I am a woman, but because I am a queer woman. It's just a fact. This path that Jesus walks with us, it is a hard path. It's one where we don't get to burn it all down. What we get to do is pick up the pieces of one another, put our arms around our friends and our families and our loved ones, sit for a while if we need to, sing for a while if we need to. Maybe we sing a song of grief. We sing songs of sorrow. Maybe we sing songs of hope. And eventually, we get up and we follow Jesus. Because every person in this room has been baptized into Christ, has put on Christ. And we will walk that road together. Amen.